Hey, Captain Jack, bringing you an introduction. First look at the Atlanta. Now, the Atlanta's been out a while. It is a Tier 6 premium American cruiser. There was a campaign for it a while back, and that's how most people got it. I suppose you could have just bought it outright if that's what you wanted to do. And who am I to judge? Anyway, so the Atlanta is a cruiser and has a ton of guns. You'll see in a second it has 827 millimeter guns, 8 double guns, 7 per broadside and 1 on the opposite side. It also carries 8 torpedoes in 2 quad launchers with a super short range, 4.5 kilometers, so you really don't want to rely on them. But maneuverability at 33.5 knots, and it can turn pretty quick, and concealment's not all that bad. The biggest thing, and you'll see me do it, you'll see me demonstrate this in this battle, the Atlanta is great at sneaking up, hiding up behind an island. These little tiny guns, well, they're not that tiny, but 127 millimeter guns have a super high firing arc, and so you can get nice and snug up against an island, as you're going to see me do on this island over to the right. As soon as the camera comes back around, right there, that island there on the right with the double humps, you're going to see me get nice and cozy up to this island and sit there and fire across the map and just rain down fire. I was trying to set a whole bunch of fires anyway, working on the Nassau campaign, and so you got to set fires, 20 fires in cruisers, doesn't matter what nationality. I figured, hey, I haven't run the Atlanta in a while, and it can be quite the fire starter. Even though the rounds only have, I believe it's a 7% chance of starting a fire, you fire 14 of them per salvo. 7 double guns, and then you can flip around. Something like the 180-degree turn time of the turrets is 4 or 5 seconds, maybe 6 at most. So really, all of a sudden you need to turn around and fire at a ship on your other side. Your guns are going to be around in no time. So anyway, I go ahead and try to sidle up to the island here, and I get to a spot where I'm like, this'll do. And then I start looking at ships and realizing way too much of my flank is going to be exposed. And so, as I said, you can get nice and close to this island with a high firing arc like it has. You don't have to worry too much about your rounds running aground. There is a point in time when I start shooting at something where the slope of the island starts getting too high, and you'll see the rounds derp in. And right now there's still kind of a glitch in the game where, yeah, you can hit rounds into the dirt and you'll still see them fly, and it looks like they're hitting a target, but when they hit the target, they don't actually hit the target because they're not actually there. So for whatever reason, the tracers can continue. The rounds look like they're continuing, but you won't hit anything. So there, I back up real quick and pull back forward a little further to the right, give myself just a little bit more distance from the island, and try communicating with my teammates. That proved to be a lost cause during this and pretty much every other battle. But now the Baron has gotten within range. The range on this thing with the commander perks that I have, it's something like 12.7. So I can start at a healthy distance and start to pop a couple of rounds off. First salvo, because of this huge high arc, it can be difficult to gauge. So, it's a little bit of Kentucky windage in there. Eventually you'll get your rounds on target. You just gotta adjust fire. It's like artillery or a grenade launcher, if you ever get to fire a grenade launcher. I know not everybody does. So my teammates, in their helpfulness, have fired some torpedoes and hit the Baron. But the Baron did his thing, split the torpedoes, only taking 1, I think. And I continue to rain down all these rounds. So every time I'm firing a salvo, I'm hitting between 5 and 10 of the 14 rounds, sometimes even better. There was 8. The next salvo, the Baron starts to figure out what's going on and adjust fire. There was 12. And like all foolish people, he starts to put his fire out, which means you just hit him with more fire. That's a lot of fun. Torpedoes were coming from that big cloud on the left that I'm not paying any attention to whatsoever. There. See, now you see that there's too much elevation to the island and the rounds aren't going over. So I fire a few anyway. You see that the rounds are definitely kicking up dust as they hit the island. All of them. But in binocular view, you'll still see a couple of rounds travel on, even though you know that they're hitting the rock. There's a good example. There's a whole salvo that looks like it's going to hit him, and nothing. The next salvo, I think, is the same way because I'm not far enough back yet. Yeah, see, perfect shots. Anything where if the island weren't there, you'd be hitting him with the majority of your shots. But see, this is why you can't get tunnel vision. You're like, my rounds are hitting, what's going on? And you start to look and you say, oh, okay. Let me back out and take a look and see that, sure enough, I'm not hitting what I thought I was hitting. So now, I've gotten far enough back that the island is no longer blocking my shots. And in the last two salvos, I put out back-to-back fires on different spots of the ship. Now, remember, most ships, all ships, can carry a fire in 4 spots on the ship. So if you set a fire on the bow like I just had, don't fire at the bow anymore. Adjust your shots to aim just after there, or hit him in the superstructure, or hit after the ship. Because a ship, unless you have the commander perk that only allows it to take 3 fires instead of the 4, all ships will burn in 4 different spots. So once you've set fire, and I know a lot of people don't know that. Some of you guys, you're smart players, you have to have figured that out by now. But if not, congratulations, I just educated you on something. So 4 fires per ship, bow, stern, and then 2 evenly distributed between the 2. Usually just 4 and just after the superstructure. So you can get 4 fires burning consecutively. And when your operation is to try to light 20 fires, adjust your shots accordingly, and then set fire to as many parts of the ship as you can. The more fires, the more better, right? So anyhow, all right. So as you see, we start to pull out from behind this island. I got a friendly battleship coming with me, but he's going to head right and try to go all the way around the islands, whereas I need to get in closer. So I'm ended up coming through his wake and head after this New Orleans. New Orleans is 14-5 away now, and at the rate that I'm catching up with him, we'll be closer. By the time the guns have turned around, now you see he's 13-3 there in the distance. And so my plan is to come and try to flank him as he comes around that long island. Ugh, excuse me. So anyway, in the distance is a Baron. If the Baron were paying attention, I am probably in his range. He was 16 kilometers out. I think my Baron can shoot 16 and a half or 17. And so if he were paying attention, or if I were actually detected, then he'd just be starting to pop off shots at me. I'm not currently detected, even though I'm within viewing range, but the New Orleans is on the backside of a hill. That's something that seems to have been adjusted lately. I know there were lots of times in the early few weeks, early couple months of this game, that you were getting detected, 100% guaranteed detection if you were within detection range. Same thing with planes, and that's still something I think they need to work on. Planes can detect you the moment the person hits the button if you are within the range of that plane. Now, you know as well as I do, a plane that's at deck level of a ship is not going to spot anything 12 miles away. I think that's a mechanic they need to add into this game, that ships are not able to detect you until they are at a nice cruising altitude. Also, if you are within flat gun range of an enemy ship and you hit the button to launch your plane, the flat guns start firing immediately, and you'll see the explosions right on top of your ship. It's like, come on, guys, that's not a thing. It's not a thing that really happened. Nobody was using flat guns for deck warfare, or maybe they were, but certainly you're not going to shoot down a fighter plane while it's coming off the catapult. That's just silly talk. So anyway, a second ago you saw I did a game cap. I may post that on the YouTube or not. I do my little Xbox game captures, normal little 30-second clips that I post to try to demonstrate something, some sort of silly thing. I had one about ranged shots and using the islands or using terrain features to kind of help you adjust how far you should lead a ship. You could do the same thing with this island right now. There's a 6.5 second lead time, so you can look, just pick a spot on the ship, usually the bow or the tower if you can, and then count. If it says 6.5 seconds, pick a spot on the landmass and count that 6.5 seconds and see where it was. If it looks like it's an inch or two on your screen, well then you lead it an inch or two. You got the little mill scale there where you zoom in. And you see it looks like 2 or 3 tick marks. Fine, lead them by 2 or 3 tick marks, and then there you have it. So anyway, we're firing on the York. You know, still doing nothing but trying to light some fires. Shot down a plane somehow because cool, why not? And the York is just going to sit here and burn, or not. See, there I yell at my teammate all the way across the map because I said, you know damn well that was my kill, and you're taking it anyway. So you can't really lead your teammates very well because you can't lock on to him. But he knows the moment I fired at him, you know, those shots came whizzing over his head, and in return he decides to hit me with a couple. Oh well. Message communicated, right? You never know if people have headsets or they got the TV turned up, so talking to them out loud is kind of silly. Now this is also the point where I start yelling at my guys sitting on the flag because they're on top of 2 battleships and they're not doing anything about them. And there's no way I'm going to make it in time to do anything about this. And so our 2 friendly ships are just going to sit there and get toyed with by both those destroyers. And if I'm not mistaken, they sit there and they dick around long enough that at least one of them gets killed. They do eventually kill that man, I think, and I would hope so with the sliver of health that he had left. But I'm in no spot to do it, and also my engine was out and my repair kit was out, so I had no chance but to just sit here and wait. So far out of the fight that you can't even see your friendly ships, and you definitely can't see the enemy ships. But they're sitting there, you know, they are preventing, like the enemy destroyers sitting in that cloud are preventing our team from capping the flag. But of course our battleships aren't making any attempt whatsoever to find out where they are within the smoke cloud. I always do, but then again, you know, if you know that you have a guaranteed 2-kilometer detection range, no matter what ship you're in and where that ship is on the map, sitting in a fog bank, whatever, smoke cloud, if you know that you can get within 2 kilometers and the thing is going to pop up, then, you know, help your teammates out. I mean, you could sit around and do the dance and run around like a crazy person for a while and wait for that smoke to dissipate. But for some of these things, it's like a minute 50. And you're going to be sitting there all day, and by then the battle's over. So look down deep inside you, find that little courage hangy ball, and say, you know, YOLO. I'll go be the guy that finds the enemy, and hopefully my teammates, of which there are 3 ships within range, will kill the guy before he's able to kill me. You know, this is a team game. I've said it before. It's frustrating as a team game when you think about it, because it's really an individual effort, and if you are not in a spot to win the battle yourself, then you may just not win. But anyway, teammates pulled through in the end. I believe that was the Akatsuki that was dicking around with me earlier, and he gets the final kill for the win. So let's see what the end result here is. I hit with 153 main gun hits for a bit of damage. Nothing spectacular, but it was a win, and a win is a win is a win. Anyway, hey guys, I'm Lucky Captain Jack. I appreciate you coming aboard today. Wish you all fair winds and following seas, and I will catch you out there. Until then, Lucky Jack out.